All right, so here's the thought that like popped up in my head. One thing I noticed is that all the ICE agents that come and get the undocumented migrants, they're getting them at work. Why aren't they getting them out on the streets? Because remember, they're like the thugs, the criminals, the rapists, the murderers, like the Orange Humpty Dumpty said. So it got me thinking, why are they all getting them at work? And I've come to the conclusion that people are calling ICE and snitching out these companies. Because there's no way in hell that ICE would just pop up at a construction site out of the blue and just ask for documentation. You feel me on that one? I remember when I used to Uber, have time, to make a little cash. I would go around to places in Chicago in the suburbs. And one thing I remember that stood out the most is this one woman. She worked at this bread factory, or I call it a bread factory, Bimbo. I know some of y'all have heard of Bimbo bread. In Cicero, Illinois, it's just like literally outside of the city limits. There's the west side of Chicago, and then there's Cicero. Long story short, during the ride, she told me how a lot of the workers at this plant were mostly African American or African American or Latino. And she said that the workers got so fed up with like the heightened racial tensions that they called ICE on the factory. And they had a big raid, like it was like to the point where people were running out the buildings because they were undocumented. And I've heard similar stories also like at the Hostess plant in another part of Chicago where, again, the people that worked there, the Americans, they got fed up with a lot of the Latinos that were working there. And the Hostess plant was a mix of white and black Americans. And somebody called ICE, and they went and grabbed a lot of those undocumented workers. Now, the one thing that really stood out the most is that they never got the owners. No fines, no nothing. But they got the undocumented workers. Feel me on that one? So, my conclusion is not only are they targeting people who are pretty much innocent, and in my cases that I've heard are subject to vindictive retribution from the citizens that actually work there, but then also we have unequal prosecution, unequal due process in the laws and in prosecution, whereas the company owners or management are never touched, but the workers are punished to the extreme. Yeah, let's think about that one for a moment.